So there we have it, the end of that joint press conference by the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, that press conference being held in Downing Street in London. Some key lines emerging from it. We learned from Mr. Scholz that Germany, he thinks, will be able to substitute its imports of Russian oil this year. And that is quite a significant ambition, given that a third of Germany's oil imports come from Russia, and also half of its natural gas. So we'll wait to see what happens on that. Other lines emerging. The UK Prime Minister, Mr. Johnson, said Britain is looking at ways of supporting people who want to send certain military equipment to Ukraine. He said that the UK is willing to consider any form of defensive weaponry for Ukraine. And on the point about whether the sanctions are effective, that came up in the questions from journalists. Olaf Scholz, the German Chancellor, said that the sanctions that are currently in place on the Russian central bank and the banking sector mean that President Putin cannot access cash to finance his war in Ukraine. And he added, it gives him a huge problem in terms of developing the Russian economy. Now, that point about Germany reducing its reliance on imports of Russian oil, there was an additional line on that. Mr. Scholz said it's necessary also that Germany gets its fossil fuels from suppliers other than Russia. So that, of course, is more broad than just oil imports. That is all fossil fuels. There are, of course, logistical difficulties. Although the United States has offered to provide liquefied natural gas to Europe to try and help wean it off Russian energy supplies, that is much more complicated logistically. The advantage that Russia has had is that its gas supplies are piped directly from Russia to the European countries that need it. But really significant line from Olaf Scholz, the German Chancellor, during that press conference. OK, Tobias Ellwood, former Defence Minister and Chair of Parliament's Defence Select Committee, thank you very much for speaking to us here on BBC World News. Plenty more coverage here on BBC World News and on the live page on our website as well. Go to bbc.com/news for that, or the BBC News app. And you can reach me and the team on social media. You'll find me on there at Ben Boulos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Hello, this is BBC World News. I'm Ben Boulos. Our top stories. At least 39 people are killed in a rocket attack on a train station in eastern Ukraine. Hundreds are reported injured. President Zelensky describes the strike as evil with no limits. Shock on the face of the European Commission President as she comes face to face with the reality of war in Ukraine.
Here in Bucha we saw our humanity being shattered, and the whole world is mourning with the people of Bucha.
We'll have the latest on Ursula von der Leyen's visit to Ukraine, also on the programme. Emmanuel Macron has warned that nothing is impossible as polls suggest his lead over far-right rival Marine Le Pen is narrowing in the run-up to Sunday's presidential election. Hello and a very warm welcome to BBC World News. It's good to have you with us. Russia has denied launching a missile strike on a railway station in eastern Ukraine in which 40 people are believed to have died and many hundreds injured. Russian forces have been accused of deliberately targeting the station in the city of Kramatorsk. The mayor of the city, Alexander Goncharenko, said the area had been full of people trying to escape the fighting in the east of the country. EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell there speaking to my colleague Clive Myrie. Do stay with us here on BBC World News. Still to come. France prepares to choose its president for the next 5 years, but how will people vote? I'll be speaking to the author of How the French Think. Voilà. Hello, I'm Ben. This is BBC World News. The latest headlines. At least 39 people are killed in a rocket attack on a train station in eastern Ukraine. Hundreds are reportedly injured. President Zelensky describes the strike as evil with no limits. The UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and German Chancellor Olaf Scholz have announced plans to increase cooperation in countering Russia's war in Ukraine. The British Prime Minister says the UK will send more military equipment to further help Ukraine. A recently discovered drawing by Michelangelo has been unveiled ahead of its auction next month, where it's expected to fetch more than $30 million. The previously unseen work by the Italian Renaissance genius is believed to be his first known nude. It dates from the late 15th century, when the artist was at the start of his career in Florence. The auction comes after France lifted an export block in an attempt to acquire it for the state. Better start saving if you want to bid. That's just about it from me. You can reach me and the team on social media. You'll find me on there at Ben and Boulos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.
Today at 6, we are live in Ukraine, where at least 50 people are dead and hundreds more injured after rockets hit a train station in the east of the country. It happened as thousands of people were trying to escape heavy fighting in the region. Russia denies any involvement.
You can see the effects of the blast on these parked cars behind me, now burnt out. And on the pavement you can see bags of food that they were taking for their journey to safety, along with dried blood that smeared across the pavement.
Meanwhile, the President of the European Commission sees for herself the horrors of the war in the city of Bucha, as Britain and Germany agree more military aid for the Ukrainian army.
Hello, I'm Ben Boulos in London. The other stories making headlines this hour. Emmanuel Macron has warned that nothing is impossible, as the polls suggest his lead over far-right rival Marine Le Pen is narrowing in the run-up to Sunday's presidential election. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan says he is disappointed by the court verdict against him ahead of a vote of no confidence this weekend. Hello and a very warm welcome to BBC World News. Ukraine says at least 50 people are dead and dozens wounded after rockets hit a railway station in the city of Kramatorsk in eastern Ukraine. Thousands of people were at the station at the time as they fled Russian attacks, and officials accuse Russia of a deliberate strike on civilians. Let's join my colleague Clive Myrie for the very latest from Ukraine.
Good evening and welcome to the BBC News at 6, live from the Ukrainian capital Kyiv, with news of missiles hitting a train station packed full of people in the east of the country. That's it from me and the team here in Kyiv. Now back to you in the studio.
Clive, thank you. Do stay with us here on BBC World News, still to come. France prepares to choose its president for the next 5 years, but how will people vote? We'll hear from the author of How the French Think. Hello, this is BBC World News, the latest headlines. At least 50 people are dead and many more injured after rockets hit a train station in eastern Ukraine. The president of the European Commission sees for herself the horrors of the war in the city of Bucha as Britain and Germany agree more military aid for the Ukrainian army. On Sunday, people in France will vote to choose their next president. Most polls are suggesting this election could be more tightly contested than in 2017. The incumbent, Emmanuel Macron, is likely to come out on top, but his closest rival, Marine Le Pen, is gaining ground. You can reach me and the team on social media, and there's plenty more on the website bbc.com/news. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Hello, this is BBC News broadcasting to viewers in the UK and around the world. I'm Ben Boulos, here are the headlines. Condemnation after another atrocity in Ukraine, where at least 50 people are dead and hundreds more injured in a rocket attack on a train station in the east of the country.
You can see the effects of the blast on these parked cars behind me, now burnt out. And on the pavement you can see bags of food that they were taking for their journey to safety, along with dried blood that smeared across the pavement.
In the run-up to the French presidential election, a poll suggests Emmanuel Macron's far-right rival, Marine Le Pen, is closer than ever before to winning. More questions for the UK Chancellor Rishi Sunak, who is under pressure over his wife's tax status. Now it's revealed he held a US green card for work for 18 months while Chancellor. Here in the UK, a man is jailed for life for murdering primary school teacher Sabina Nessa in southeast London. First black woman to be voted onto the US Supreme Court says she's delighted to be appointed.
I have dedicated my career to public service because I love this country and our Constitution and the rights that make us free.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the programme. Ukraine says at least 50 people are dead and dozens have been injured after rockets hit a railway station in the city of Kramatorsk in eastern Ukraine. Kramatorsk had become a major hub in the war for civilian evacuations from the Donbass region, which has seen fighting by Russian separatists for many years, and it is now the focal point of Vladimir Putin's war effort. Bring some breaking news now, and the UK Chancellor, the Finance Minister Rishi Sunak's wife, Ashkata Murty, has volunteered to pay UK income tax on her worldwide income. Ms Murty owns £700 million in shares of the Indian IT giant Infosys, founded by her father, from which she received £11.6 million in dividend income last year. Now, as a non-domiciled and non-dom UK resident, she is not required by law to pay UK taxes on her international income, but in a statement released to the BBC, she said that her tax arrangements did not seem compatible with the British sense of fairness. That breaking news just in the last few minutes, being tweeted by our business editor, Simon Jack. Here in the UK, a 36-year-old Albanian man has been jailed for a minimum of 36 years in prison for the murder of the primary school teacher Sabina Nessa. Kochi Selamaj drove from Eastbourne to southeast London last September and attacked Miss Nessa with a metal traffic triangle. Our correspondent June Kelly reports. Let's just remind you of our breaking news this hour. The UK Chancellor, that's the Finance Minister, Rishi Sunak, his wife Ashkata Murty has volunteered to pay UK income tax on her worldwide income. Ms Murty owns £700 million in shares of the Indian IT giant Infosys, a company founded by her father, from which she received £11.6 million in dividend income last year. Now, as a non-domiciled UK resident, she is not required by law to pay UK taxes on her international income, but in a statement released to the BBC, she was aware that her tax arrangements did not seem compatible with, quote, the British sense of fairness. That update from our business editor, Simon Jack. You can follow him on Twitter and find out more. You can follow me there as well. I'm on there at Boulos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Hello there. It's felt a bit more like winter this week across the northern half of Europe.